Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so very much for joining us today with Speak Up and Empower with Real Talk Travel. And yes, we definitely have an adventure that is waiting for you, and we can't wait to get started. But just a little bit about Speak Up and Empower. It's an online membership with individuals that are all experts in their field, and they've got something very important to share. And I'm with Real Talk Travel, and we have Tyler with us, who is with Rocky Mountaineer. And wow, wow, wow. That's all I can say about this wonderful experience. And Tyler is going to tell us all about it. So take it away, Tyler, and welcome.
Awesome, Susan. Thank you so much for having me back on. It feels like years ago that I did the first one. I know it was only a couple of short months ago, but yeah, so much has changed in travel. So much has changed in Canada. But I'm really excited today to be talking about Rocky Mountaineer again, and we're moving down south of the border. So much talk right now of borders opening up and U.S. guests coming to Canada. When will Canadian guests be able to come down to the US? So now we're covering both legs of it. And we were just chatting. You're headed out to the West Coast in September, which is really excited.
Yes.
I was just out there too. So it seems like that's on everyone's mind. I know you've been working on quite a few bookings for Canadians to start traveling again. So let's keep that momentum rolling. But absolutely, just to add another thing to your portfolio, if maybe you've already done Canada or you're already planning ahead to when that border opens up and you can head down south again, introducing Rockies to the Red Rocks. This is our brand new Rocky Mountaineer route in the Southwest US. So super excited to be introducing that to you. It's launching right now, August. This is our preview season. It's going to be running all the way through mid-November. So still plenty of time if you're interested in wanting to book. We have some great pricing and packages that we're putting together this year, but we also have availability for 2022. So whether you're sort of a spur of the moment type person who wants to get in on the fun this year, or you're a planner and you want to look ahead to next year, we absolutely have you covered. But really, this is a culmination of 30 years of travel, technically 31. I mean, that's the big thing with Rocky Mountaineer. 2020 was our 30th anniversary. So in COVID, did that anniversary really happen? If you have a birthday during COVID, did you really turn 40, or are you still 39? That's what everybody's going with. So really, Rocky Mountaineer has been operating up in Canada for 30 years. So we're taking that expertise, bringing it down to the US with a 2-day route between Denver and Moab, Utah, and everything in between. And if you're familiar with Rocky Mountaineer and that luxury train travel experience, you're going to get to experience it in a whole new setting. So something a little bit old, something a little bit new. But rather than me ramble on, how about I show you a little bit of what you have in store if you go down and do the route?
Awesome.
An extraordinary place deserves an extraordinary way to see it. Our newest route, Rockies to the Red Rocks, brings 30 years of Rocky Mountaineer's world-class service to the stunning desert vistas of the American Southwest. Traveling from the vibrant Denver, Colorado, past some of nature's wonders, vast canyons, chromatic deserts, and panoramic views, to the mesmerizing red rock landscapes that twist through the bright blue sky. It's rail travel at its best. After all, if you're going to see an extraordinary place, you want an extraordinary way to see it.
Absolutely beautiful. That red rock is red rock.
It is. This is one of those hashtag no filter necessary type situations. Like, I just got back from being on the train in Vancouver, Kamloops, going to Lake Louise and Banff. And just watching that video, like, it's getting me wanting to travel again. I can't wait to be going down. I'll be doing that in about a month. But the timing couldn't be more perfect for this session here, because we are starting up operations right now. We do have those 2-day rail packages ready to go, anything from 2 days all the way up to 9 days. So I'll talk about the different options. As you probably already know, if you're familiar with Rocky Mountaineer, customization is key. Anything and everything that you want to do off the train, absolutely. We want you to be able to work with your travel advisor, putting together the perfect package for you, because we know, these are not cookie cutter experiences, and everybody likes to do things a little bit different. Whether you want to travel, in high style all the way, or you want to do a little bit of light adventuring, you want to do some coach and sightseeing tours, a self-drive option, we really do have it all. So let's just jump into a little bit about the geography of the route and where it's traveling. So again, we are taking the Rockies. We're not losing that part of the experience at all. We're just heading down, a few thousand miles south. And really, to start for this year, it is just the one route. So that's the difference between the Canadian routes, where we have the 3 different options. Right now in the US, it's just a one route, 2-day experience that has Denver being your eastern point, Glenwood Springs, Colorado as your intermediary stopover, and then finishing up in Moab, Utah. And as you know, with Rocky Mountaineer, you can do it either way, east to west or west to east. So that is absolutely up to you. So just so you can sort of see on the map where the train is actually traveling, because I'm sure you've probably heard of Denver. Maybe you've heard of Glenwood Springs, but maybe you're not familiar with Moab. When they first told me back in the fall that that's where one of the stops was, I was like, okay, Moab, I've never heard of this before. But even if you haven't, you've probably seen pictures of it, and we'll definitely get to it, because it's those iconic, like you mentioned, Susan, those red rocks, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, as you can see geographically here, it's a pretty easy add-on to either Las Vegas or Salt Lake City, where we know there's lots of flight options there. So really, it is a little bit more accessible than you might think on first glance. And again, you're probably not just going to do the train for 2 days. You're going to want to add on some of that sightseeing. So whether with a guided tour or a self-drive option, or hey, who doesn't like going down to Las Vegas and
That's right.
having some fun there? What a change, right? Spending time in Las Vegas and then going to Utah, and then making your way through the canyons all the way to Denver. So, I mean, whether you do it east to west, west to east, it just sort of depends on where you want to do your sightseeing before or after your train experience. So let's just talk a little bit about that first day. I'm going to start as if we're in Denver, moving our way west to Glenwood Springs and then Moab, Utah. So this is sort of get used to canyons. If you're a fan of that, you're definitely going to see a ton of that on day one. The Gross Reservoir Dam, though, is a really iconic scene there. The Moffat Tunnel, but you can see it there. The Gore Canyon, the Byers Canyon. There's really no shortage there. These are a little bit different than the Canadian routes in that they're very wide open vistas. So really, whether you're traveling on the east side of the tracks, west side of the tracks, you can really, really see for miles. And just look at some of these.
That's gorgeous.
Similar to the Canadian routes, this is taking you through areas that you just can't get to by car, right? And even if you could, I mean, it's so remote. It would take you so long to sort of traverse and get there by foot. So that's the amazing thing about Rocky Mountaineer and that experience, is being able to see these amazing landscapes and vistas, but while you're in the laps of luxury, while enjoying a cocktail and a gourmet meal. So unbelievable sights and sounds on day one. There you see some of the rivers. We actually do curve around the Colorado River quite a bit, which is very similar to what you see on First Passage to the West in Canada when you're flanking the Fraser River and the Thompson River and canyons there. There you see the Gross Reservoir Dam, which was built in 1954. So, you're getting a little bit of American history lesson along the way as well. And some of these engineering marvels carving around the Rockies and the canyons just to sort of connect the East and the West of the US, sort of like how we did with the Canadian routes up in Canada. So now moving over to Glenwood Springs, and we'll talk about the destinations a little bit more too, because Glenwood Springs is one you're not going to want to sleep on. You're going to want to spend a little bit of time there if you can double back, but even just for the night on the train, after your 10-hour train journey, Glenwood Springs is a super walkable, almost like a Banff of the area. A lot of people probably know about Colorado Springs and Aspen and those types of areas in Colorado. But Glenwood Springs, it has hot springs, boutique hotels, great restaurants, super walkable. So then on day 2, this is where you're going to see that dramatic shift, leaving Colorado and then moving into that, just like I almost feel like it's an alien landscape. You won't need a sign to tell you that you've reached Utah, because the LaSalle Mountains, Arches National Park, they will absolutely tell you straight to your face that you are in a different area. But here you're going to see some of the more majestic mountains, Mount Garfield and the Book Cliffs. I mean, it's just such a striking images that we don't have these types of landscapes up in Canada. We talked about how BC and Alberta is just so different, the wilderness up there, compared to anywhere else you have in Canada. Well, Colorado and Utah, absolutely the same thing in the US. Everybody's probably gone to New York and Chicago and Miami and Disneyland, but there's so many interesting places, and the Southwest US is often overlooked. So definitely don't sleep on it when you're on the train. That's the other question. Where do you sleep on the train? Well, hopefully you're not sleeping at all, because you're missing all of the amazing views.
Yeah, you got too much to look at. Look at that. It's stunning.
Unbelievable. And then
Wow.
we have the Book Cliffs Mountains, which is a sprawling landscape of 200 miles long. So you're not necessarily getting the same height as you see the mountain ranges in Canada. But they are a little bit more sprawling, because you're kind of going along with them, not sort of meeting them head on. And then the LaSalle Mountains, I mean, a little bit reminiscent to, the hoodoos and things that you see in the Okanagan and the dry, arid desert territory, or Drumheller in Alberta, but just completely different landscapes. And this is probably where you're thinking yourself, yeah, I've seen that before, probably in like old Westerns or any of those TV shows, Roswell, things that are filmed out there. I mean, they use this landscape for so many different uses in TV and film. So if you haven't been there, and actually heading over to Moab, one of the interesting points, and we'll talk about it a bit more, is it's actually not far away from where they do the Sundance Film Festival. So it all sort of ties in there as well. Now, what I want to talk about is the onboard experience a little bit. With the Canadian routes, we have gold leaf and silver leaf on the train. Now, an interesting fact for this season, we are only able to operate with the silverleaf cars. And the reason for that is some of the bridges and tunnels that you'll be going under and through are just too low to accommodate the gold leaf trains. So it is a silverleaf experience. The great thing about that is it's all in one. You don't have to lift a finger. It's service at your seat. So let's take a look at some of the advantages. What I love about Silverleaf is it's a very open and airy dome-like train car. Even though you don't have the glass dome ceiling that you would get on Gold Leaf, the windows are so expansive. They're almost floor to ceiling, lets in so much natural light, great for picture viewing. And what's really nice about it, rather than Gold Leaf being up on the higher seated platform area, you're lower to the ground. So any wildlife that you might be encountering, any of those vistas, they're just a little bit closer. Great for picture taking, 9-foot ceiling, so very open and airy, and service at your seat, very social, very immersive, very interactive. All along the way, similar on our Canadian routes, our hosts will be taking care of all of your needs. You're getting breakfast on the train, you're getting lunch on the train, all-inclusive beverages as well. So everything is just right at your fingertips. And similar to on the Canadian routes, if you're traveling with friends, absolutely you can pivot those chairs around so you can force them. And we still have the outdoor breezeways, so you can still stretch your legs, still get a little bit of fresh air there as well. And on the culinary side of things, we do not downgrade at all with Silverleaf. You're getting real food being prepared hot, fresh, and ready on the train. You're getting real cutlery, real china. You're going to feel like you're at a 5-star restaurant. And Susan, this is an exclusive because I just got this PDF, the new menu from Silverleaf Plus, because for those of you who want to further enhance your experience, if Silverleaf isn't enough for you, we are adding Silverleaf Plus to our Rockies to Red Rocks route. And what that means is there's going to be an exclusive lounge car that has an enhanced beverage, mixology station, past hors d'oeuvres. It's almost like a cocktail happy hour on wheels.
Oh,
Absolutely. We're switching things up. We're doing something fun, something new and exciting.
yeah,
Let's
great
take a look.
experience.
Take a look at this new menu. We do this in the Canadian roots. We love leaning into the local cuisine, making sure everything is super local and sort of native to the territories. We want to highlight, all those amazing Southwest flavors of Colorado and Utah. So here's a sample menu of what we'll be doing for the first part of the season. And yes, the food is different between day 1 and day 2, depending the direction that you're going in. So there's always going to be differences with that. But there you can also see there's a great selection of breakfast, a great selection of lunch, vegan, gluten-free, vegetarian, any allergies, dietary restrictions. Because we're preparing the food fresh on the train, we absolutely can accommodate any of those needs. So, don't worry about that. The other great thing about Silverleaf, because it's an all-in-one setting, mobility, very, very easy accessibility. If you don't need to be moving up and down like you would be in Gold Leaf, you just sort of set it and forget it and let the world pass you by, or let you pass the world by. Mm-hmm. So now let's move on to those destinations. We'll start with Denver, Colorado. That's sort of the Vancouver equivalent, the big city, one of these great Midwest towns. I've been lucky enough to go down to Denver. I have friends down there. I've played some festivals down there back in my music days. It's such a fun, vibrant city. And much like Vancouver, all year round. I mean, it's beautiful in the summer. It's one of those kind of like they never have bad weather, but especially in the summer, everything's on full display. If you're into craft beer, I mean, this is one of the meccas for craft brewery. They have amazing art galleries, amazing summer festivals. And if you're planning on spending a little bit of time before your train adventure in Denver, you could be going to Colorado Springs, Boulder, Colorado. There's so much stuff going on in the summer. If you're a golfer, absolutely, it has some of the best courses in North America, so you don't want to miss out on that. But super walkable, great restaurants, great shopping. So like, what more can you ask for? And pretty much from wherever, I'd have to think, there's a lot of flight availability going in and out of Denver as well. So really easy to get in and out of the city from. Now moving over to Glenwood Springs. So you might not have heard of this one, but that is our stopping point midway. And this is where you start getting that sort of Western rustic vibe. But look at those amazing colors.
That's pretty.
In the mountains and the canyons. Again, I really do equate it to Banff. It has so much to see and do in the city, out of the city. Great golf, whitewater rafting. It's one of the destinations for that. Great for hiking, but there's boutique hotels, great restaurants. This area is a little bit more seasonal, so you will see it come alive during the summer and the fall. But one of those amazing winter destinations as well. So Glenwood Springs also has some hot springs, not dissimilar to Banff. So a great place to sort of rest your head for your overnight and then make your way to Moab, Utah, where, everything is just a little bit different. The geography and the archaeology of the region is just so unique and striking. You will never find another place like this. And what's so amazing about Moab is it is that destination jumping off point to all those amazing national parks. And Zion National Park, Canyonlands is not far away. The Arches, the LaSalle Mountains. So again, a day trip, you can do and see so much. The little downtown in Moab is super fun and vibrant, a great sort of tourist center as well. Now, the only thing to be said about Moab is it is a little bit more off the beaten path. You know, you don't have really direct flights from major airports going into Moab. So if you're looking at starting your journey there, then you probably will have to coordinate with your travel advisor just on making those flights work out. But that's why we see so many people either fly to Salt Lake City and work their way down with some sightseeing, or from Las Vegas, because it's not that hard to do. Now let's talk about some of the things why you can
Cool. The heart shape.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have silver leaf on the train, but we still have a gold leaf feel when you're at the hotels. I mean, just amazing properties. Our operations team just did such an awesome job finding these like unique gems where you really capture the flair and the feel and the flavor of the areas that you're going to. So our Moab hotel partners, I mean, these are all brands that you know well. Hiltons and Hyatt places. So very comfortable, very reputable, great locations. So you can easily sort of get around and you're not spending a lot of time transferring in and out of the city. In Glenwood Springs, I mean, you get to be in a resort type setting. There's those hot springs I was talking about.
Yeah.
So
Oh, awesome.
absolutely, you know, if you're going to upgrade somewhere, this is where you're going to want to do it. But look at the Hotel Colorado, like these scenic views. Yeah, well, this is what I love about Banff and Lake Louise. I mean, you have these amazing properties that you just feel like you can get lost in a resort type setting. So we're bringing those to Glenwood Springs as well. So absolutely, if you want something a little bit more downtown, so you can walk right out the front door, be at shops and restaurants, the Hotel Denver is a great one. But yeah, I wouldn't blame you if you just wanted to spend all day at the hot springs, you know, with an adult beverage, go for a dip, wine.
Rejuvenating.
100%. Well,
Yes.
Susan, they always say you have to stay hydrated when you're traveling, right?
Absolutely.
So
Yes.
it's a marathon, not a sprint. And then, you know, getting back to the big city in Denver, we really tried to find unique properties that highlighted the best of Denver. It's a little bit more boutique. So not as many of the chain hotels that you would find elsewhere, but we wanted to do something that really highlighted what Denver's all about, and great location. So, you know, the Oxford Hotel, you can actually see in the distance here, the Union train station, which is on the tracks that the train is using. So that's how close it is. But really, I can't say enough about the operations team and the different options that we have for you to stay in. You're not going to be disappointed. So it might be the sort of thing, if you're in Denver, you're going to want to add on a couple nights and, hey, maybe try a couple of different hotels.
A lifetime experience to do that Rocky Mountaineer.
Yeah, there's no wrong way to do it, just as long as you're having fun. So I just want to show you a few of the package options. Again, with Rocky Mountaineer, we always pride ourselves on selection, but I'm just going to start with the small stuff. We'll work our way up to the big stuff. This just highlights really that rail package: 2 days on board the train, 3 nights, 4 days total. So you're getting a night in Denver, a night in Glenwood Springs, and a night in Moab. This is really a choose your own adventure. It allows you to decide what you want to do pre or post, but it's a great way to just sort of get it on the books, and then with your dates, figure out what you want to do. Now, I should mention, just while we have it up here, the route is slightly different than what you've seen on the Canadian routes. It is a full day of travel between Denver and Glenwood Springs. So leaving in the morning, getting in the late afternoon, evening in Glenwood Springs. But between Glenwood Springs and Moab, it's actually only a half day. So about a 5 hour. So if you're leaving from Glenwood Springs in the morning, you'd be getting into Moab in the early afternoon. So you're just doing breakfast service in Moab, but you get in time for lunch. So the nice thing is, sort of like when we're doing Rainforest to Gold Rush, Vancouver to Whistler, you get in a half day. So you have a lot of time to really sort of sink your teeth into the destination. And then we turn around the train and then we do an afternoon departure. So going eastbound from Moab, you leave in the afternoon heading to Glenwood Springs. So just wanted to sort of point that out. But this is a great, easy package just for getting you started, and then you figure out what you want to do before and after the train. Now we move up to a 6-day, 5-night package. And again, this is a bit of a choose your own adventure, but focusing a little bit more on Salt Lake City. So again, you could start in Denver with the train portion, or you could fly into Salt Lake City and do that self-drive option down through Utah. So really getting a full range view of the state,
Mhm.
spending 2 nights in Moab, but with sightseeing included at Canyonlands National Park and Dead Horse Point. So that will give you 3 days of a rental car. It's all included in the package. So you can drive it from Salt Lake City, drop it off in Moab. You don't have to worry about it at all. Take the train, end up in Denver, and then from there, it's up to you what you want to do. And then for those who want to include Las Vegas into your itinerary, this one's got a little bit more going on. But, if we're going from east to west, Denver on the train to Glenwood Springs, and then spending 2 days in Moab. So again, you're going to get to see Arches National Park, Dead Horse Point, Canyonlands. Then you're going to do a sightseeing tour, a coach tour to Bryce Canyon, Zion National Park, work your way over to Las Vegas where you can have your flight home. So this one is really kind of the whole enchilada. It gives you a little bit of everything. And this is sort of like the Rockies to the Red Rocks Crash Course 101. And again, you could even add on an extra night in Denver, do some sightseeing around here. One night in Vegas, probably not going to be quite enough if you want to live it up in the city, but some great options there just to sort of give you a jumping off point so you can see where you might want to add on before and after.
Mhm. That's a great trip. Right.
100%. So we are up and running. If you are interested in booking for this year, we're bringing those same flexible booking terms that we have on our Canadian route to our US route. So risk-free deposits, fully refundable up to 30 days prior to travel. So let's just say you were looking at traveling October 1st. That means your final payment wouldn't be due until 30 days before. So up until that point, your deposit, if you decide to cancel for any reason, it will be fully refunded to you. Now we're also adding in 2 free date changes. So if you've decided, October 1st not going to quite work out, but I want to look at October 15th or maybe even into November, no problem at all. Just let our reservations team know, work with your travel advisor to move those dates so we can get the right package for you. We'll give you 2 free date changes, either for this year, you can change it to next year if you like. For any of those who are on an earlier Rocky Mountaineer departure in 2020, for the Canadian route and it didn't operate and you're sitting on a future travel credit, yes, absolutely. You can move that over to our new US route. So borders, you don't have to worry about that. We're happy to have you on board wherever you'd like to go, whether it's in Canada or the US. So definitely you can feel good about booking with flexibility. The last thing I'll leave you with, and then I'll turn it back over to Susan, you can see how many different components there are in a Rocky Mountaineer tour. Even if it's just 2 days on the train, there's so much to see and do before and after, whether you want to add on sightseeing with a coach tour, a self-drive option, Salt Lake City, Las Vegas, maybe a golf trip, maybe some whitewater rafting. That's why it's so vital to work with trusted travel advisors like Susan, who are the experts in putting it all together. So that way, when you're on vacation, you can just sit back and relax and enjoy the ride. Let everyone else do the heavy lifting so you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. Oh, awesome. Awesome, Tyler. That was such a great overview of the new tours into United States, the Red Rock, and definitely they are worth seeing all that different landscaping. Yes, our Canadian Rockies are amazing and awesome, but totally different landscaping, totally different vibe and experiences versus Canada versus US, but certainly well worth going and seeing that. And the best way is through Rocky Mountaineer, having that 1.5 or 2 days experience with top-notch food, the service. Yeah.
We have to stop hosting these around dinner time because it sure makes me hungry thinking about that menu, right?
Well, considering you just got back from it, all right? So you know all about the meals that they actually had on there.
You do not go hungry.
Yeah.
That is something I vow to you. Absolutely. Because on the Rocky Mountaineer, you're getting breakfast, you're getting lunch, and then people ask like, well, what about dinner? We could be starving at the end of the day. And most of our guests, they don't even go out for dinner. Maybe
No.
they'll go to the hotel bar for a quick snack or something like that. I mean, up to you, absolutely, if you want to go out on the town and have another big dinner. But yeah, you do not go hungry. There's constant snacking on the train. I read something, calories don't count while you're on vacation.
Yeah,
So I think you
that's
take
right.
that to heart for sure.
You just put it out of sight, out of mind. But fantastic. No, it was really great to have you on again and to be able to talk about those wonderful things that Rocky Mountaineer has done. It's nice that travel has opened up again. The borders are opening up and people can start feeling that they can get out from their four walls that they've been there. There's so much to see and do, and so many ways to do the excursions or the experienced travel that's going to be safe. And the number one concern, even with Rocky Mountaineer, is to make sure it's safe and healthy. Everybody's looked after so that they don't have to worry, and just following the protocol from all aspects, from the train to staying at the resorts, even to boarding. And
100%. There's so many different components, and it's all changing so quickly. So it's great that you brought that up, because we're here on August 10th, and what things could be looking like September 10th, October 10th, November 10th, it could be completely different. So I think that's why it's so important to keep in touch and do the research. And we do have resources on our website about our health and safety. We have a COVID-19 landing page, everything that we're doing to sort of stop the spread of COVID, on board, working with our partners. It's really a never ending process, but we're all in it together, and eventually we will get there. And with more vaccinations and things starting to open up, it is starting to feel like we're getting back to normal, whatever that means now.
Yeah, it's just one day at a time and just being safe and following the protocols. But thanks again. We'll have to get you on again, because obviously there's so much to see with even the Canadian Rocky Mountaineer. There's so many different tours, like you mentioned. Well, I don't know. I forget. Is there over 50? I don't know. There's different ways that they can
Yeah,
go.
and I would say there's no law against doing it twice or more. You can do the Canadian routes and then go do the U.S. routes, mix them up. Absolutely. Yeah, it can be one of those things that you come back to after a few years when you're dealing with these amazing landscapes and the wilderness and the wildlife. Even if you've done it 10 years ago, it feels like a brand new, fresh experience every time you're on board.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, thanks again, everybody, for joining us today. And if you have any questions that we haven't answered, or Tyler has, and he's done a fantastic job in going over what this trip to the Red Rock would entail, certainly reach out to me and I'll be able to find out the answer for you. And let's get you booked and having that wonderful travel adventure experience and be rejuvenated by travel. Travel inspires. So we got to get you out there. So anyway, everybody be safe, keep smiling, be healthy, and that's the key. And we will see you next Tuesday. Yes, we have another adventure waiting for you. Thanks again, Tyler. Take care.